What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Truck Parking Clubhouse. I'm your guy, Michael Lombard at Lombard Trucking everywhere on the internet. Glad to be here. As you can see with the backdrop, we are back. Appreciate you guys tuning in last week when we were in Vegas with our boy Rusty Cross. Before we get rolling on the Clubhouse tonight, again, your latest edition of Taillights has just dropped in your inbox about 30 minutes ago, and we break down some of the new regulations CFM-CSA's put down on non-domiciled CDLs. Also, got a nice photo up there of a driver in Canada who was driving quite a ways with some bad equipment. So definitely go check it out. As well as some other little cool story from back in the 60s from a former driver of Lombard Trucking that is just really interesting and kind of is a testament to drivers themselves who are more than just a driver. This guy was a trucker. He sang in his church's choir. He fixed an old church bell at his church up in Worcester, Massachusetts. So a really fascinating story. I popped in there from an old throwback edition of Taillights. But without any further delay, I want to bring this week's guest up onto the show. My man, Steve himself, one half of the Real Truckers Couple. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Another day, another dollar.
That it is, man. Where are you tuning in from tonight?
We are in Dallas, Texas right now, and we are actually at one of Truck Parking Club's locations.
Man, we're always glad to hear it. We love to hear that drivers are not parked on an on or off ramp for sure. That's been a big thing we've been talking about, and can't wait to hear about the property you're at. But before we talk parking, would love to hear the Steve story, man. What got you into trucking?
It was actually my wife, and I apologize that she's not with us right now. She's up next to drive in the morning, so she's back there resting, and I'm up here in the front trying not to disturb her too much. But it was all her. We found ourselves when we were living in Maryland, and uh, it was one of those kind of, excuse me for saying, didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out type situations. And opportunity presented itself for us to get out of Maryland via her sister, who was in the military at the time. She got deployed to Afghanistan, and her husband got deployed to Iraq. And they needed somebody to sit the kids and sit the house. And they asked if we could come down and take care of the kids in the house. And we went on down there, and it served two purposes. It allowed us to get a grip on life and start trying to figure out what we were going to do to progress in life. And we helped her sister out. um when that ordeal was over and her dad got home first, you know my wife was like, I want to drive trucks. So I found a trucking company that would train us both and send us out together, and the rest is history.
Man, that's awesome. So where did you get your CDL at? Where were you guys living at the time?
So we were living in North Carolina, and we went to C1. It wasn't C1. It was called Expedite Solutions. Actually, it was a division of C1 Truck Driving School up in Indianapolis, and they pretty much trained people to drive the expedite trucks. So they trained us to get our Class B CDL, and we took off from there.
Oh, that's awesome. So and so you guys started out as team.
Yep, we've been doing this 20 years.
Yeah, so off the rip, no solo driving. You guys have been a dynamic duo for 20 years.
Yep, nothing but expedite.
And the same kind of freight. It's very rare you see it. The past 20 years, what did you have you guys been with the same company? What's the timeline been like doing expedite? And it's primarily, and you said it's class B work as well.
Yeah, they do have tractor trailers and expedite, um, but we've primarily done the box truck. Um, our first 8 years, we were with one particular company. It was called Express One. They later sold to XPO, and they became XPO. Um, then we went to FedEx Custom Critical for a little while, came back to Express One, and then around that time, the economy kind of took that tank back in like 2010, 11-ish. And we decided to come out of the truck for a little while. And then when we came back, uh, took about 2.5 years off. We did expedite dispatching from home for those little bit of time that we was off. And then my wife and I both got white line fever and decided to come back out on the road. And we've been out here now for the last almost 9 years. And we were with Tri-State Expedited for a good little while, and then we made the business decision to come over to Panther, and we've been at Panther now for about the last going on 4 years.
That's awesome. So an expedited career. FedEx Customer Critical. What's the craziest thing you ever moved for Custom Critical at FedEx?
Well, we really wasn't there that long, and we definitely we didn't get into the white glove part of it. So we didn't do anything too crazy. A couple of the things that I can tell you that was kind of wild that we delivered was there's a movie set down in Fort Worth, and they were shooting the one of those spin-offs of The Walking Dead, and we delivered some airplane parts. It's the one with I can't remember which one it was, but all I know is they were climbing on this rock wall, and it was raining, and the zombies was everywhere trying to get them, and we delivered stuff to that set, and that was pretty cool. Um, I'm pretty sure I can talk about this now because it's well past the NDA. When Transformers first came out, when they reintroduced the Camaro, uh, we got to go to the plant that they were building the Camaro at, and we got to see the Camaros being built. That's probably one of the couple of the coolest things that we've ever delivered, and a lot of the stuff I simply can't talk about as far as right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, got to wait for that to run out. Got to still keep a little bit of security. The Camaro story, though. I mean, uh, I love. I get fired up hearing that because that first Transformers movie definitely inspired me to buy that same car. I have a 2011 Camaro, and I still have it. I bought it when I was in 2011. So, and I still have it. I have all the original miles. And man, if that movie, or if there was one thing, if there was one thing where marketing did its job, that movie definitely, because I mean that movie came out in like 2007. I want to say the first Transformers, and finally once I was a little bit older and I got back from Afghanistan myself, I said I got to get my hands on this car, and I still got it. I'm still hanging on to it. Just got a detail. It still runs great. So that's freaking cool. You got to see that as it was getting made.
Yeah.
But with Panther, you drive. It's always interesting because I've ran into a couple expedited people. You drive what looks like a tractor that would be hauling a tractor trailer, but it's essentially a box truck.
Right. And most of them have you still have some that I see out here that have it has a standard tractor uh sleeper combination, but the the deeper you get into it, a lot of them have custom sleepers on them, in which we have one on ours. We pretty much got the whole kit and caboodle in here, which is why we're able to stay at some of these locations, because we can pretty much camp anywhere. We have a kitchen, we have a bathroom, we have a shower, and we can go just about anywhere and stay, which is why the last month Truck Parking Club has been awesome.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear a little bit more about that. I mean, that's really cool that you're able to kind of set up the truck that way. You're able to you have a little bit more options and availability compared to tractor trailer guys where you can kind of sneak in and get certain places. But I'd love to ask, yeah, when was the first time you had heard about Truck Parking Club?
We were going on a cruise, and my wife and I cruise a lot, and we were sailing out of Tampa, and I we were looking for somewhere to park, And I started looking up kind of truck parking places and things like that. And this was December of 23. And we were like, what are we gonna do with our truck? We were ready to be gone for 10 days. What are we gonna do with our truck? So I started looking up truck parking, and a competitor of yours popped up, and I ain't gonna say their name on y'all show, but they popped up, and we tried them out, and it didn't work out so well. And the next cruise that we went on, we sailed out of Tampa again, and we were like, yeah, we're not using those guys. And we found Truck Parking Club, and so we was like, "Lord, let's check them out." It was a secure location, secure in and out, lights, cameras everywhere. And I said, okay, I feel comfortable leaving my truck here for 8 days. So we used that location, and we started figuring, okay, this is going to be our go-to place for parking when we cruise. And then we decided, okay, we need somewhere at home. So we found a location at home, and we were like, okay, this works because where we live, we can park our truck. They let us park our truck, but we don't want to overstay our welcome with, the truck in their huge parking in their parking lot. So even though it's not an eyesore and uh, all of that kind of stuff, we still, if we're going to be home for an extended amount of time, we'll go ahead and put it in truck parking club and just leave it at that. But we've been using truck parking club now since 2023, and going strong.
Man, that's awesome to hear. And since 2023 and over the, especially this past year alone, we've been able to add more locations to the network that you're kind of able to leverage for whenever guys are parking throughout there on the road. Want to give a big shout out to a listener on Instagram talking about how back in the day, uh, he's a driver, gentleman tuning in on Instagram. He has 3.5 million miles. He's talking about how he used to park on off ramps, and he's asking what has caused the parking problems. And his name's N Pritt on Instagram. Just want to give him a little shout out. And again, so I mean, for anybody who is retired, this gentleman has 3.5 million miles. The parking problem came now. It's just there's simply more trucks on the road today than there were in the 70s and 80s, and it's become quite an issue to the point to where there's only one safe parking spot for every 11 trucks on the road. And those are just the stats as it is. And that's why here we continue to add new locations. We're adding new locations daily, working with property owners with unused space who want to help park some trucks. So appreciate you tuning in onto the Clubhouse there on Instagram. Steve, so I mean, you're going on a cruise, and we helped you out. We got a spot at home for you, and then other than that, you've stayed at a couple of our other locations. Have they worked out for you?
Oh man, perfect. Like every spot that we find, we make it work for us. Like the one that we're at right now, we're about 4 miles away from our pickup in the morning, versus we would we would usually have to go all the way up to Denton and park, or all the way back over to Rockwall and park, which is about 35 miles each, no matter which one we went to from our pickup location. And we've actually found a couple of different locations like right near here. We saw this one just yesterday, and we were like, that's closer than the other one that we typically use. Let's give that one a shot. And we actually stayed here last night, and they called us this morning. My wife was literally pulling out to head over to pick up the load, and then they called us and say, hey, customer pushed the pickup back until tomorrow. Can I give you a few extra bucks to sit on it? Yeah, sure, why not? So we went on and stayed the second night here, and it's a really convenient location. Other
No, that's
locations
yeah.
that we've been to that really worked out is in Florida. Sometimes when we drop off, our fleet owner, they primarily use Loves, so there aren't a lot of Loves all over the place. We just recently were in Fort Pierce, Florida, and found a gem of a location. It looked almost like a campground, almost, and it was just really really nice. we have found, and I'm pretty sure I've posted them to my YouTube, all of the places that we found that we really enjoyed. Um, we're having fun using Truck Parking Club, and you guys are doing really good things. Like the gentleman said, is like, I mean, like you said, is more trucks on the road than it was years ago, and that's something that we experienced when we took that little hiatus from driving, and it was crazy how we got back, and now pilots and flying J's and TAs got reserved parking and everything, and we were like, well, what in the world is this? What's going on with this? And I think I came to a realization at some point that I don't mind paying for parking if I'm in a bind. And those reserve parking spaces, I was mad at them at first, but what I'm really mad at is the specific truck stops that make us pay, period, where you get there and you got to take a ticket, and if you stay longer than 2 hours it's $35, or you got to buy 60 gallons of fuel, which is $300. And that really irks me to the point of no return. And Truck Parking Club, I think I'm okay with paying the park if it's a convenience for me. For example, if I get to when we got to Dallas the other night, we got here a little late, and Dallas is horrible for parking. And we got here a little late, jumped on Truck Parking Club, and was like, let's find something real quick. And we found something that was in South Dallas. And as a matter of fact, it was the last one that I sent you, I believe. Um, it was a cool little spot, and they had an actual juke joint on site. And I was blown away by this little teeny place, and I kept telling my wife, this looked like a motorcycle club or something. And then next thing you know, later on that night, cars, they opened up the door, cut the lights on, and I went and stuck my head in there. I was like, this, you have got to be kidding me. This is a gym.
Yeah, there's a few of those out there. I mean, it's just like once you open up this marketplace to where trucks can actually park, yeah, there's these little diamonds in the rough. You got guys like I know some like somebody was a gentleman came on the live stream the other day. He was up in Michigan where I think there was there was like slot machines and stuff up there. Like any and everyone can kind of come on here and freaking and open up their spots that trucks normally aren't parking. And so it just adds to the experience, gives people the opportunity, kind of like one of our other partners. He parked in Nashville. Like he's never gotten to really go hang out in downtown Nashville. Now he can. Now, whenever he's there, he's overnight because we've got a spot right around the corner from Broadway, and that's those perks are in Dallas alone. Like you said, I know exactly what it is. It's either you got to go to Denton, and there's that TA in Denton, or yeah, you go to the TA in Rockwall. Other than that, I mean, it's like in those warehouse areas around DFW, guys are just parked on the street, and there's not a lot. The activity in those areas around the warehouses is not always. It's not always a lot of good stuff going around in those areas, like those warehouse kind of industrial park areas in the
Right,
DFW. There's some troublemakers out there who can, who are probably looking for trucks to break into, looking, look, just around there causing problems. I mean, we see it happen every day.
right.
But no, glad to hear that the network's been really helping you out. We really appreciate you parking with us and also telling drivers exactly where they could park and how it can help them, especially with getting close to shippers and receivers. I think the most valuable thing, something that's really technology's done to drivers the past 10 or so years, is drivers' time gets abused in a lot of ways, whether it's detention, whether it's just tension, like you said, waiting on a load, or and then just the implementation of the ELD time has kind of been taken from drivers in a lot of ways. And now with being able to add this network, drivers can get some of their time back by leveraging where and when and how they can reserve truck parking. But besides parking, wanted to ask you because you're out there over the road, you do the lower 48, whether you do an expedited or tractor trailer. what's one issue in the trucking industry that that you think needs a little bit more attention or isn't talked about enough, or something that you want to see get solved?
Hands down, parking. Because, like I said, man, when we came back out here on the road, and I remember when towards the end of our first run, we really didn't have a problem finding somewhere to park. And man, we took that little 2.5, almost 3 year break. And when we got back, we would get to a truck stop, and it would be 4 o'clock, and the truck stop was full. And it's just a shame, the damned if you do, damned if you don't, the situation that we're put in. People want the goods that we deliver, but they don't want us to park on a parking lot uh, of a shopping center. Um, I do understand the difficulties with parking on shoulders, the safety concerns or whatever, but there are a lot of places where drivers can pull over safely and not be in the way, and they got 25 no parking signs along the way. Um, County ordinance, city ordinances that say, hey, no trucks allowed to park on, in certain areas. And I mean, I understand about residential areas, but at the same time, um, that is just beyond crazy to me that, you know, a society that depends on us as heavily as they do shun us so bad. And I do understand that sometimes some drivers, they make it bad for all of us by leaving leaving their garbage behind, or whatever the case may be. But even still, it's just that situation needs to be fixed. And I think companies like yours are on the right track with helping those uh thousands and thousands and thousands of drivers that's going to get to this city and have nowhere to park. They can always turn to you guys and look something up. Oh, great, I can park here.
100%. I mean, preach it far and wide there. That's exactly how we feel about parking, and the parking situation is like basically the whole reason why we exist, for sure. That's well said. Even gentleman jumped in the comments on Instagram, he said, God bless you guys. Appreciate all of you and you drivers out there. Great way to highlight
Thank you,
the issue.
thank you.
Can't wait to carve that up. Now, so aside from parking, number two, if parking takes over number one, what would be your number two issue in the industry? What's something else that grinds your gears?
um I would have to say, and I really really hate to be this way, but when we came back out on the road, I noticed an influx of new drivers, if you get what I'm saying. And many of them are reckless, extremely. And we know the situation. You mentioned it um, in the very beginning. The people with the non-domicile licenses. That some of my experiences with some of those individuals have been extremely negative, especially the ones that drive in the snow like they're driving on wet, I mean, on dry concrete or dry asphalt. Man, that right there, in my opinion, is I really don't even know how to describe it without being foul, so to speak. But yeah, that to me was a huge problem, because I'll never forget, I saw one of those guys cause a really bad accident. We were on 70. We were going toward Denver. We were in Kansas, and I'm creeping doing like 25 with my flashers on, and this guy, he came past me. I fueled next to him at the fueling station, maybe about 10 or 15 miles back, and I recognized this truck. It was a bright green truck with a guy with a thing on his head on the side of it, and he came flying past me like it was like it wasn't snowing. And then about 20 miles up the road, he had caused this huge accident. And yeah, that that was real bothersome to me because I tell a lot of them they don't go through the same training that we go through in their country to get their CDL, and then they come over here and then they get theirs, and they revert back to driving the way they drove at home. And you see the ones that be driving around them little mountains and stuff where it's like if you go over, you done. You know, I yeah, they come over here and they drive on our roads uh like they're still home. And that was a huge issue for me. And I not to say that nobody don't have the right to come over here and attempt to make a living for themselves and take care of their families, but man, that was one for me.
Yeah, we kind of break that down in the newsletter as well, where when you and I get or when you get your CDL, as an American citizen, not a non-domiciled CDL, you get a whole background check on your drive. You get your driving history, if you have any DUIs, open tickets. And I remember being in CDL school. They were like, hey, if you got anything, if you got any warrants, if you got anything if on any previous licenses you had in another state that wasn't Texas, they're like, you got to let us know now, et cetera, et cetera. And basically, but if you're acquiring, and that's why the FMCSA came out with these new regulations, because essentially, if you are, applying for or trying to get a non-domiciled CDL, you're not getting that same background check on what your driving history was in, in wherever your home country was. So it's like if you're a 30-year-old in the U.S. getting your CDL, if you had a DUI at 21, they know that, and the companies that are
Right.
hiring you know that. But if you're getting a non-domiciled CDL, they won't know if you got a DUI back in Russia or wherever, just say it out. They don't know if you had a DUI at those other places, and that's why. And again, same thing with the driving habits. Again, driving in the U.S. is way different than driving in probably I think driving in the U.S. and Canada is probably very similar, and most parts of Mexico, especially industrial parts. I'd say in the continent, it's probably the same, but it's way different. I've seen those mountains, in South America. They're going up those really tight corners, and they can fly up it, but it's a little different over here. So yeah, on definitely well said. Got a gentleman hopping in on YouTube. By the way, I did not block you on Twitter. This is just a quick thing. My Twitter account, my own personal Twitter account, was what I got done in by a little phishing scam, a little bit of a perfect storm. So I've been locked out of my own Twitter account. So again, normally this live stream goes live on my Twitter as well as the Truck Parking Club networks, but it is not gone through. So I didn't want to say anything on our live stream, but gentleman asked, I did not block anybody. So don't worry. I don't have a habit of blocking, but appreciate you jumping in on the YouTube, but it wasn't me. But last question I got for you before I let you rack out. Don't want to wake the other half of the Real Truckers couple. And I'm looking forward to having either both of you guys on, tell a little bit more stories. But what's one piece of advice you'd give a new driver or somebody who's looking to get their CDL?
Somebody going to CDL school, the biggest piece of advice that I would give to them is listen to the instructors and not your classmates. I remember being in CDL school and uh the people that were in school with us, they had so much information to give, and I distanced myself from them quick. I'm like, you in CDL school trying to get your CDL, how are you giving advice to somebody else? Um, but the biggest piece of advice that I can give to anybody that just got their CDL is always remember that your CDL is your money, and do whatever you just spent thousands of dollars to get your CDL, protect it like you just did. I see a lot of people out here doing reckless things. I love seeing the people on TikTok. I just got my CDL, and then 2 weeks later they driving a truck, videoing themselves driving and everything. Oh my God! Protect your CDL at all costs, and it just that's the best piece of advice I can give to any new driver.
That's good advice. Yeah, protect it any way you can. Hey, Steve, I want to thank you for coming on to the clubhouse tonight. Appreciate you guys for tuning in to the clubhouse. Again, we're here every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. And you got to listen to one half of the Real Truckers couple. Definitely go follow Steve and follow along with him trucking over the road, doing some expedited freight. We partner with guys like Steve because he is an individual, if you've listened to him for the past 30 minutes, who wants to help leave this industry better than he found it. You heard him voice his concerns about parking. That's what we do at Truck Parking Club. We help truckers save time and fuel by working with existing property owners so that they can instantly reserve truck parking nationwide. And if you need truck parking tonight, stay off or on ramps, you can use his promo code TRT0505. That's all caps for $20 off your next booking. But with that, guys, stay safe and
TRTC.
hammered. TRTC 05 to get $20 off your next booking. Stay safe, guys.